guys, welcome back to my channel after a long hiatus. Yeah. I wanted to start off by saying thank you for sticking around. It means a lot to me. I've missed talking to and making content for everybody, and I know it was a very long time since I've last posted. I think it's been like 4 months, which is totally insane. But yeah, thank you for being real troopers. You guys are really amazing. Anyways, that's enough apologizing. Thank you for being super patient, but yeah, let's finally get into where I've been and what on earth I've been doing. So, the last time that we spoke was back in January on the 20th, where I'd posted a Minecraft video from my ongoing Minecraft series. For the rest of that month, I had been experiencing kind of harsh weather. My room isn't properly insulated, so it's either very hot or very cold, depending on the season. And since it's winter, let's just say I was freezing my butt off. Basically, that made me not really feel inclined to sit through hours and hours of editing to make content, but honestly, that wasn't even really the major issue. In January, my main issue was experiencing frequent power outages and stupid technical issues. If you happened to be around at that time and joined me for my gaming streams, you would have seen that my streams constantly keep like ending, freezing, pausing, or disconnecting. This was because my power would either go out, my internet was having issues, my computer was just being slow, or I would have things to handle with my family very briefly. So there was a lot of interruptions. All these like minor inconveniences were extremely discouraging. It kind of felt like the universe was telling me no, but I was still trying to stream and continue content at this point, so yeah, there wasn't a major gap since the last time you'd heard from me on the 20th to the finishing of January, so I wasn't gone for that long. Then February started. I was in the works with editing my next video, but my streams were starting to slow down by this point. Inevitably, this led to my streams dropping from a few a week to once a week to once in a while spontaneously, then to me just stopping completely, which broke my heart, but I felt it was kind of necessary to take a break. School had finally started picking up speed, especially since midterms were now around the corner, so I decided to take a break from streaming. But I still definitely wanted to create videos at this time, but like most things, that also had to come to a close, since I had started to slowly fall behind on my schoolwork, which isn't cool. February was also the month where I made a lot of new friends. I'm so grateful to have met these people, so that was lovely. It kind of reminded me of the importance of keeping in touch with my friends, so I focused on my relationships a bit more. It even opened up the opportunity for some bonding with my existing friendships, like Rusty from my Fortnite video. Me and Rusty were going out all the time. It was so fun. But yeah, then some awkward boy drama happened with a different friend group, and that was something, but I won't get into that. Let's just say that it worked out. I'm still friends with the other people in that group, but me and the guy are acquainted at best. My group and I kind of alienated the guy to some extent, which wasn't probably the best way to handle it, but in the end, we all talked it out, and that's just kind of how things went. We still talk here and there, but I think he has his own junk to deal with. Oh, yeah. I also started practicing driving with my uncle around this time, and finally renewed my permit. LOL. It's now March, and I had just made it past the hurdle of midterms, and it opened up a bit of breathing room, which was nice, but there was just not enough breathing room, because right when we got past midterms, I was assigned a few major art assignments and a bunch of assignments from my general ed courses. Yikes. I was overwhelmed again. So I went ahead and dropped some classes. As a young adult, I started to learn my own limits and pacing. Since I'm entirely in control of everything that goes on in my life, I think digesting it slowly rather than all at once is very difficult but very worth it. There's no need to rush for anyone else when it's my life that I'm defining, you know? This was also around where my financial situation had become a little bit more complicated. Financial aid was giving me $200 for an entire semester. I don't know how or why they calculated that that was the necessary amount to fund my education, but who am I to argue with them? I don't know anything about the process, but I did try. The conclusion I'd come to after many conversations with my financial aid office was that they believed I was not taking enough credits as I wasn't considered full-time my first year, which is unfortunate, but I guess. I still don't feel like that was justifiable, as my dad was unemployed for most of that year. He would help here and there when he could, which I appreciate, but I also applied for scholarships, but at this point, I wouldn't know whether or not I would benefit from that. But yeah, I basically had to thug it out with my mom, lol. She's funded most of my art education and even paid for my artwork to get professionally framed for a museum, which is cool. More on that later though, I promise. Thank you, Mom. I love you lots. Also this month, this is where I also started, drumroll please, driving! Dude, I can't express how freaking cool this is to me. I was such a weenie baby about it before, but as I've driven to more places, I think I'm getting pretty comfortable now. I mean, the only thing I haven't driven on is the freeway, but give me grace. I've only had my license for a month, and we had already discussed that I am a giant baby. But don't think I haven't gotten over many other driving feats, okay? Like, I drove during traffic hour. I can drive at night. I've driven through downtown where there's a scary amount of people, crosswalks, and one-way roads. I know, I'm like pretty much a pro. I'm on my way, but yeah. I also decided to get a sewing machine, so I'm currently learning that. I think it's pretty fun. Please expect cringy cosplay videos in the future someday. Oh, and yeah, I also did a spontaneous face reveal thanks to ZEEDREAMSINK on TikTok. So here's that. If you didn't see it, this is my face. Here's what I look like. Yeah. Anyways, but yeah, that's pretty rad. Speaking of driving downtown, in March, I had applied for scholarships at my college, and now that it's April, this was the time when I had found out that I had gotten accepted for one of the scholarships at my college. I was given the opportunity to represent my school at the local art museum in my area. Here's the piece that was selected. It's about my transition from accepting femininity and blossoming into the version of myself that I am today. It's also an homage to Frida Kahlo and her piece, Two Fridas, where she's sitting with herself on a bench, and her other artwork, Self-Portrait with Cropped Hair, and is also a callback to an older art piece I had made in high school. So that's pretty cool too. The reason why it's related to driving is that it's because the museum is downtown and driving there is a nightmare. It'll be my second time at this museum, but my first time doing it in college. So yeah, that's pretty fulfilling. Outside of school, this is when I also experimented with the dating scene a little bit. And I'm gonna be frank, this is gonna be really awkward to talk about, so give me grace. But anyways, yeah, honestly, it wasn't very fulfilling for me, as I wasn't really ready to commit to anyone. Since I'd planned to eventually move out of town at some point, I would hate to start something special with someone and then move away. And no, I was not about to do a long distance thing. That's not for me. I don't think I could handle it. But that wasn't much of a priority anyways, because that's not for like another year or so. So technically, if I did start something, I would have time to talk it out and plan with my partner. Just because it wasn't fulfilling doesn't mean that I didn't have fun though. I met some cool individuals and some that were very unfortunate to meet, so to speak. But yeah, I definitely need a break from that. I'm good for now. Around the later half of April though, I started to experience some issues at home. So remember how I told you that I'd gotten my license and was getting more comfortable driving? Well, it turns out my grandma was not a fan. She says that it would stress her out not knowing where I was all the time, which I could understand. You know, I was a new driver, so I compromised with her by giving her my location and answering her texts and calls about where I was or what I was doing. But it seems that wasn't enough for her, so it was a constant battle at home. Words were exchanged, feelings were felt, and opinions were heard. But in the end, she believes that if I cannot follow her rules, despite being a full-grown adult, that I should live elsewhere. So you remember how I told you that I had time to think about relationship stuff and junk because I had another year to move? Well, just kidding. Now I was scrambling for a plan on what on earth I was gonna do. Then I remembered my dad had started to recover with his own situation, and he had mentioned that I could live with him. Even though the original plan was that I move in with my brother the next year, I had asked him if I could join him earlier because of what was going on at home. He agreed and said that I should follow up with him once I start making moves and creating a plan so he can know what's going on. During this uncomfortable tension at home though, I avoided being home as much as possible when I could. So I'd either go crash at Rusty's, go to my uncle's, visit my friends, visit my mom, explore, go to my school, any excuse I could have with just not being home and being away from my family and drama. This kind of caused my education to fumble big time. This is easily the worst I've ever done academically, and it's really heartbreaking because I'm the first in my family to go to college, so I wanted to show that I'm a good product of my environment. A lot of my confidence comes from believing that I'm making different, better steps for myself in my young adulthood in order to pursue a more comfortable lifestyle where I wasn't always struggling. With all of this life junk happening, my mental health had gotten worse as I was most definitely not capable of handling it on my own. I wouldn't know what I would do without my parents, so thank goodness for that. When it became May, I knew that we were now in the home stretch. Only a few more weeks of school, finals were approaching, and I had started my major final art projects for the year. Since it was so close to the end of the school year, I decided to prioritize what I could and preserve my academics as much as I could. This also meant seeing less of my friends and being home a lot more, which I'm sure by this point you would understand why that would be such a uncomfortable situation. But I couldn't allow myself to fail. I love my potential in future, especially with my career, too much to let it crumble right in front of me. What this basically meant was that I was doing all of the late work that I had missed for sign language, finishing a giant 5 foot wide by 7 foot tall digital artwork featuring a life-size human figure from my figure drawing class, finishing a color study and research paper, and also attempting to finish my art history and geology lab assignments. Holy fuck. That was a lot. But I did most of it. The only thing that I didn't get an opportunity to save myself from was failing sign language. But don't tell my parents that. This is honestly really scary because I'd never failed a class before. I've never struggled with school before. That's never been an issue for me. This was also supposed to be a class that I dropped along with the other class I had dropped back in March. But this isn't the first time my college has fumbled my classes and academics, so it is what it is. This is where my family drama starts to come to a close, as now I found a college near my dad's where I can continue my education. Currently, I'm working on the application, and once I'm officially accepted, my dad and I created a plan that I will move in late July. This is kind of scary because this will be the first time I live outside of my hometown. I've never moved outside of my own city, but it's also exciting. I don't know. You'll get that update later, I'm sure. But yeah, my mom, my family, and my friends are super disappointed to see me leave sooner than expected, but I need to put myself first. Otherwise, I was just going to keep ruining myself and my future. That is the last thing I want for myself. I love my family, but it's for the best that I prioritize my well-being, so I don't live with regret and potential grudges. Anyways, since it's May and I told you about those major artworks, here's what I created. This is the artwork I'd done for my figure drawing course. This is me climbing out of a TV, with the background being the Mii Maker menu from the Wii. I made this artwork to basically comment on my identity, but more specifically understanding the roots in which I truly started to define who I was. The Wii was created back in 2006, the year I was born, and was one of the most memorable gaming consoles for me. It was definitely something that created some of my youngest memories, but if you look at the menu of my artwork, you'll start to see a lot of ambiguity as I can't understand what defines my identity. Was it my family, my parents, my friends, my experiences, my education, my interests and hobbies, societal expectations, or was I just programmed like this from the beginning? Even after making the artwork, I still couldn't tell you the answer. And I understand that I dictate who I am and my identity, but then it goes back to what are my influences? There's so many unexplored directions there, but it's nice to know that I opened the door to truly understand and explore that for myself in the future. Now for something a bit more lighthearted, this is my color theory final. So prior to this assignment, I was required to do a research paper on the history and origins of a specific color. The color I was given to research was fuchsia. After understanding its historical applications and its influences on pop culture and media, I was told to create an art piece featuring this color. However, there were other boundaries as well. It was required that at least 51% of my project had to feature the color family that the color from our research paper was a part of, and the artwork had to symbolize two words that were complete opposites of each other. Color family my professor and I had decided for future was violet. It was mostly to give me more options than just red-violet, but anyway, could you guess what the two words are that I chose for this project? The words were reality and fantasy. The idea was that the little girl on the left was playing pretend in a blanket fort, imagining that she was some powerful magical witch with a crystal ball. Then on the right was the fantasy that she was imagining and creating in her own head. The way that I chose to incorporate fuchsia, by the way, was in the magic of the witch, so in case you didn't know. So, as for this channel, I'm going to return to my bi-weekly uploading, so please expect me to return to my regular programming in that regard. As for streaming, that's kind of up in the air, as I'll be preparing to move and also trying to make the best of my time before I move. But if I do go live, you'll definitely be the first to know. Just keep an eye on my socials or join my Discord server. Speaking of the Discord server, I'll try and be more active on there again. I know I kind of went MIA in more ways than just social media, so I'd like to return to a more social life. My content will remain pretty much the same, art rants, and gaming. However, I'm considering doing more vlog/IRL content sometime since y'all now know my face, so why not? I just can't decide when or what. Maybe a cosplay creation video would be like really rad, but there's no guarantees because I'm not that great at sewing yet. Other than that, it's not really gonna change much. Once I move though, I can't promise that my uploads will always be bi-weekly since I can't promise that I'll be able to record. That just means I'll have to invest in soundproofing. My next video will be a lot less depressing, I promise, so I'm so sorry for the giant like vent session, but yeah, I just wanted to explain what on earth happened to me. Okay, big rant officially over. I really hope you guys enjoyed the deep dive into a more personal avenue of my life, and it provides a bit of context on where I've been. I promise you, I'm a-okay and very happy to be back. I didn't realize how much I'd missed editing and junk, especially since I complained a lot about it, but I did, so I hope y'all are happy to see my goofy mug. Otherwise, this would be awkward. If y'all have any comments or questions, please feel free to share down below. If you're interested in looking at my social media or joining my Discord server, please take a look at the links down below in the description. Other than that, please have a good one, and I'll see you guys next time. Mwah. Bye!